Today, I'm excited to be joined by Andrew Chow, who is a social media and PR strategist, author, and speaker based in Singapore. First, though, we'll start with a little bit of a housekeeping. I'm Maria Yunseva, Aqua's Business Development Representative, and I'll be moderating today's webinar. As usual, today's webinar is being recorded, and we'll send all attendees a link to the recording in the next couple of days. Andrew will be taking questions for about 5 to 10 minutes at the end of his presentation. Please submit any questions you may have in the Q&A tab, and we will get to them at the end of the presentation. Who is Aqua? A little bit about Aqua. I'll give you a quick introduction to who we are and what we do. Aqua is the open source digital experience company. We provide the world's most ambitious brands with technology that allows them to embrace innovation and create customer moments that matter. At Aqua, we believe in the power of community, giving our customers the freedom to build tomorrow on their terms. On that note, I'd like to introduce today's speaker. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Andrew Chow. He's a social media and PR strategist, entrepreneur, author, and speaker based in Singapore. Andrew's best-selling 24/7 series of books include Social Media 24/7, Public Relations 24/7, and Personal Branding 24/7. He has previously been named as a top 10 most influential speaker in Singapore, and over his 30-year career has worked with an array of clients, including Sony Pictures. So, with the introduction down, I'll hand the mic over to Andrew to begin. Andrew?
All right, thank you very much, Ria. And right now I'm going to say hi to everyone. My name is Andrew Chow from Singapore. Today I'm going to talk about managing disruption with style. Actually, this style is really your personality. Many years ago, I used to run a dating agency, and there are many ladies who come to me and ask me this question, why it is so difficult to get the right guy. So I told them that it is a matter of type and style. So what does this type and style really mean? So I'm going to run you through my deck. So really, we are talking about your personality today. And I'm going to do a test with every one of you. So every one of you, if you have a pen and paper next to you, or even your mobile phone, you can join in this interactive activity, because throughout my presentation in the next 15 minutes or so, I will be referring back to your personality. So you get to know your style of managing disruption. So that is the key takeaway. We want you to walk away with insights on the secret behind your personality type to enhance your career success. So this is where you can find me, Idis Andrew, in almost all the platforms. And this deck can be downloaded immediately after the presentation if you like. I do have a surprise. The surprise is this. I have 3 books to be given. I have all 3 books to be given away to every participant today. So I will give the link to the organizer, and they can get to you, so you can download everything in e-copy in PDF, so you can actually take a time to read through personal branding, social media, and even public relations. These are my topics that I specialize in, all right? And this is my broad history. I self-disrupted myself a few times. I served in Ministry of Defense in Singapore for some years. I was in Kodak. So if you have ever taken a picture using negative technology, you've been around for a long time. In the late 90s to the mid 2000s, I was in the MICE industry. I was doing a lot of events, exhibitions, and so on. 2005 to 09, I was a matchmaker. I managed the biggest dating agency in Singapore. If you Google my name on YouTube, you'll find a lot of my events and my press reports there. And then in year 2010, I decided to be a speaker, trainer, and author, because I know that social media will one day take over my business. So here am I right now. I love what I do, and I have been researching this topic for 10 years, and I'm happy to share with you some key insights today. So let's move on. These are my clients. All right. So we want to know what what are the different personality types that is available. So you may be familiar with DISC, with MBTI, with even color codes for personality kind of profiling. But at the end of the day, you need to know a profiling system that can tell you how to improve from where you are instead of just knowing where you are right now. I think it's important that we know where we are, but it's even more important to know where are we going, how far can you improve, who can help you, and how far can you go. So I like to start off the definition of personality by saying that it is a sum total of all behavior, attitude, belief, and value. It is the skin of a person. Others do not have to know you for very long to know your personality. It is really the overall package of what we see from the outside, your mannerism, your attitude towards something. Now, why is it so important? I like to have this intro where I tell you why is our style so important? Why are our styles so important? Number one, it creates the world that you are in. Let's face it, your world and my world are different. So when your world collides with my world, one of us need to give. So most of the time, it depends on who's the boss. It depends on who is the customer. So when our world collides, one of the world will need to give way. So that is the first thing we need to know about our personality. Number two is that our personality trait actually determines the way how we adjust to different environments. So if you work in a place that is toxic, you have to adjust your personality to the environment. And after a while, you become so suppressed that you forgot who you are and you just merge with the environment very grudgingly because you need the job maybe. All right. And you begin to be less of a self and you even lost yourself sometimes. The third thing that I need to say is that our personality determines the way how we react differently to the same situation. So if today, if my lamp on top of my head fell and dropped on my head, you may have a different reaction. You may ask yourself, now who the hell put this light on top of the speaker? Now, if you are someone who is very passionate, you may ask, oh, what's going to happen to our speaker? All right. Do you know why we behave so differently? Because we react according to our motivation. We react according to our models of the world. And the last thing is really our personality determines how we engage with different people. The way you manage your boss, your colleagues, your customers, all determines your success and definitely determines the way how you manage disruption. Now, I'm not here to discuss what is disruption. I think we all understand that the world changed very fast. Now, the only thing constant is change itself. So if change is inevitable, what can we do to manage it? That is what we're going to do today, and we're going to find out. So I'm going to begin this session by doing a test. So all of you get your pen and paper or your mobile phone ready, okay? So I'm going to do a very simple test to determine your type. So can everyone see these 9 pictures on your screen? I'm sure you can, right? So you see the running man, you see the helping man, you see the crayon guy, you see the adventurous guy, you see the teamwork, and you see Sherlock Holmes, you see a workout guy that's strong, you see someone who is very micromanaging, and then you see a very zen guy. Now, I want you to use a minute or so, look at all 9 photographs, and each column this way, okay? 1, 2, 3. Each column, select one picture that you resonate with. Now, please do not select the picture of the man cutting a grass because you like gardening or horticulture. That is the wrong energy. You got to feel and resonate with the person in the picture itself. All right? You got to feel his energy. So I'm going to keep quiet for 30 seconds. Remember, one column, select one picture that you resonate. So I'm going to give you a number and you have to select 3, 1 each from every column. So if you have 2 or more of the same column that resonate with you, you just have to choose one. Okay? So write down the 3 numbers and I'll tell you what to do in about 15 seconds time. Okay, I'm very sure you have selected your 3. So let me say again, 2, 3, 4, choose 1. 5, 6, 7, choose 1. 9, so 8, 1, 9, column, choose 1. Okay. Now, the next thing I would like you to do is the final 3 cards of your selection, rearrange them according to the degree of resonance. So for example, you've chosen 3, 7, and 9, but actually you feel that the right order should be 7, 3, and 9. Just rearrange the final 3 number according to the degree of resonance. And I want you to write down the 3 digit on a piece of paper. If you think you'll forget, use your mobile phone and take a picture and zoom into it. So, are you all done? Okay, I'm going to give you another 15 seconds or so. Look at it. Choose one from each column. Rearrange the final 3 number in order of resonance. Okay, so are you keen to know what those numbers represent and the combination that you've chosen? Now, you may be one of the 168 combination in this whole webinar. It doesn't matter. No, very few of us will share the same number of combination. I'm going to decode everything for you and tell you how every type manage disruption with their own style. So if you're ready, here we go. I'm not too sure how many of you have this card. You've chosen this number 1 card. Especially this is a card. This is a card that represents a perfectionist. Let's call him number 1. If you have this card as a very first number you have chosen, you are someone who is highly disciplined, highly systematic. You enjoy structures. You enjoy system. You have high standards. You have a very good eye for details, for mistakes, other people's mistakes. So how do you read this particular slide is this? The one on the average row are the words used to describe you. Now, the one on top, the positive side, are the positive words that people like to use when they like you. They will use those words. Now, the bottom, the negative word, the negative row, are words used by people who don't really like you. So they may be using a lot of emotive words that describe you, the same person. So when you are highly disciplined and consistent to another person, you are inflexible, you are self-righteous. But they are just perception. Who you are really a very systematic person. Now, people who are highly perfectionist are not someone who prefer to do something in their own ways. Now, we all are a little bit perfectionistic. But what qualifies someone to be perfectionistic is this. You impose your own standards on other people. You think that you have the best standard and you judge everyone around you by your standard. So you almost never see happy-go-lucky perfectionists because they are so strict, their face are so long, they are always upset with you for not meeting his standard and they are sad with themselves for not meeting their own standard. So people who are really perfectionists, they thrive on jobs like policeman, lawyer, judges, accountant, auditor, compliance. These are jobs that very process oriented. So there's no right or wrong of every type. So how you manage disruption is really this, that you will find the right way to go about doing things. You will find the right way to go about managing change. And you will judge others by the way they respond to disruption. So on the flip side, you may be always micromanaging, but people who like you, they think that you lead by example, but people who don't like you think that you are self-righteous. So you manage disruption by being disciplined, consistent, and hardworking. You will be very, very anxious to know the best practices. All right, your shoulders are very heavy. You probably have a balanced scorecard and everything. So you are a perfectionist. You have this card. Congratulations. You are type 1. You're always number 1 in the standards of excellence. So let's move on to talking about how are they at work. So this is what you do naturally very well at work. You're disciplined, you're dedicated, you lead by example, you can put the facts together. You're just so good in all this. No one need to teach you, right? So how do you, so if you are not a perfectionist, these are some of the ways that you can talk to someone who are a perfectionist to really manage disruption. So if you're a leader here and you have a staff that is a perfectionist, these are some of the ways that you can lead them to manage disruption. They are often very hard on themselves. They need to be ensured that they're doing fine and never ask for their advice unless you're prepared to take everything wholesale. Because if you ask for their advice and you don't take their advice, it's an insult to their high level of perfection. So to them, they always live by standards. So everything is about standards. It's about benchmarking. It's about a balanced scorecard. So a perfectionist is what we call someone who always have a standard way of doing things. Now, very quickly, let's go on to number 2. Now, if you've chosen this card, all right, you are completely opposite of perfectionist. You are people-oriented, you're compassionate, you are systematic, you are sympathetic, you're nurturing, you are caretaker, you're thick skin, you're encouraging. If you're a manager, you are very supportive, you love to be behind the scene, you thrive on leadership, servanthood leadership. On the flip side, when people don't like you, you tend to be suffering in silence and you're very possessive. Now, there's one struggle with the type 2 helper. If you have this card, is that your challenge in life is you have problems saying no or rejecting others. So technically, you're the best person to borrow money from. All right. So how are you at work? You can relate easily to so many people. Your way of managing disruption is really to connect with others, to ask the right question, to help others to get through disruption. And because you are so positive, you possess a very good sense of humor. And you always have people's interest first before yourself. The amazing thing is that if you have someone like this in office, how do you help them to manage disruption in style? Is to acknowledge and is to acknowledge them openly, appreciate them, and always take an interest in their problem. You see, a helper has another challenge. They like to take on everything. They are a helper who cannot help themselves and they refuse to ask for help because the minute when they ask for help, they don't feel that they're important. So how a helper can manage disruption is really to suffer in silence, is do as much as possible, is to serve others first. So, and they're now very open to share about what is troubling them. So that is why they love to suffer in silence. The more they suffer, the more they feel that they've contributed to the world. So these are the Mother Teresa of today. All right. You find them a lot in customer service, in charity, social worker, counselor, anyone who love people, all right, will have this in their DNA, will have this in their style. So very quickly, I come on to type 3. I wonder how many of you have this competitive card. I know this guy very, very well. All right. In fact, I am like this. I am exactly like this. I call myself a type 3 competitive achiever. My self-esteem is in what I can achieve. So I'm the Anthony Robbins, I'm the Oprah, I'm the Bill Clinton. I'm very goal-oriented, energetic, I'm accomplished. I know when to appear, when to disappear. I'm very adaptable, I'm pragmatic. I specialize in looking good. I'm a smooth operator. I have 2 gifts in life. One is to make small things look very big. All right, that's marketing. Another is to make big things look very small. That is crisis management. So I am nice from far, but actually I'm far from nice because I'm very emotionally shut down. I don't like to talk about personal stuff. I cut the chase. I don't like small talk, and I'm very lacking in self-awareness. So when you have if you are an achiever, you will be very motivational and very optimistic about disruption. Disruption is an opportunity to you because you just love to thrive on chaos to find opportunities for yourself. You're always on the ball. You know what's going on. You know how to stay above things. And when other people hate KPI, you just love it. You have no problem motivating people. You know how to use the kick, the stick, and the carrot. So it's very easy to spot them in office. In the office on the wall of their workplace, there's always a lot of certificates, trophies. On their social media, there's always great photograph of them with VIPs. They know how to package themselves. So these are the people who are your salesman, your marketer, your PR guy, your MC, your branding guy. Anything that has a spotlight on them, you find them. They love it. They just love the limelight. They love it when people focus attention on them. So how do you help someone like this in office to manage disruption? I think you have to be you have to let them have the moment when they are working and never burden them with negative impact of disruption, because they love to focus on positive. They love to play the game of leverage, always show them the opportunities, always show them what is in for them. They will manage disruption very well. In fact, they are the natural marketer. So if you're hiring someone to do marketing, this is one person you need to have. And you know what's the best thing? The best thing is that actually they seldom get struck down. They may be out for a while, but they'll come back again stronger than ever. Okay, very quickly, I come to this type 4. Anybody choose crayon card? Crayon? Now, if I've chosen this card, congratulations. You are the most creative type of all. Your style is individualist. You are highly inspired. You are intuitive. You have a sense of aesthetic. And to you, everything in the world has beauty. You are self-absorbed. You're a dreamer. You have fantasies. You're sensual. And you just love to be alone. The universe revolves around you. Your challenge is really, you may be seen as impractical, you may be seen as alienated, and your biggest challenge in life is self-destruction. And you see life as drama. So they love me time a lot. How they survive destruction is to be creative, and they give the wow factor. So while they may not like too much interaction with people, they are the one that will give you the wow factor. They express themselves through the energy. They connect with the world. So it is very natural. You find designers, writer, producer, dancer, actor, sculptor, performer. All of these occupation or jobs have a type 4 creative traits in them. They manage by being different. They manage by being self-sustainable. In fact, the less rules you give them, the more they thrive. So it's a very common to see a designer become emotional, becomes sensitive when you reject the design, because they think that you have rejected their masterpiece. So how do they manage distortion? They feel at a deep level. They're trying to find meaning and context to what is going on around them. They're able to create new connections. They are the most, they're naturally selfish, but in a good way, because in that way they can continue to be unique and creative and intuitive. So these are the Michael Jackson, maybe the Da Vinci. These are people who are highly creative. These are the Steve Jobs, all right, of our time. So how do you help someone like this to manage disruption? So if you have a colleague or a friend, give them time to tell their story, because they have a challenge. They give too much details, too much information. So the more you let them have airtime, the more you treat them as a friend, the more they trust you. Please avoid telling them that they're sensitive because they are in fact sensitive. But it is the way how they manage disruption. They tend to over dramatize many things. So now I'm halfway through. Did anyone choose this type 5 Sherlock Holmes quiet specialist card? This is someone who don't use emotions, they use their brain almost 100%. They are the Bill Gates, they are the intellectual, the perceptive, the wise guy, the guru, the insightful. They analyze, they synthesize, they always overthink, they question everything, they're isolated, quiet and reserved, very knowledgeable, very compartmentalized. They may be cynical because to them, they always feel they don't know enough. So a type 5 manage disruption by looking for answers, looking for details, gathering knowledge, and they are often seen as antisocial, not because they really don't like you, but they prefer to be by themselves. They love to play from the sideline. That's why they are so observant. They are the best people to ask for a commentary or a third party perspective, because in a meeting they can actually be quiet for 3 hours and they can give you a very good summary. So in terms of crisis, the bigger the crisis, the more cool and collected they are. They almost have no emotions because they function with just their rationale alone. They need no time and space to process your info. The worst thing to do is to tell them you need something ASAP, because to them, ASAP isn't as soon as possible. It is as slow as possible. So they are men of few words, but they are very intelligent. So if you have someone like this in your work group, how do you help them? Is to be straightforward. These are the guys that are the most straightforward. You don't have to go and hug them, be overly nice, or engage in small talk. They just enjoy a lot of time and space. They enjoy distance. So they don't want to go for lunch, but they don't mind receiving our email. All right. And please do a lot of homework before you talk to them, because they know a lot of things already. So they may seem to be cynical in whatever things that you tell them. So I love these people. They have a lot of knowledge, but they are just not very social media. They're not just very socially savvy. So did anyone choose this teamwork type 6 card? I like to call you a lawyer skeptic. If you have this card, especially the first card, congratulations, you are the most complicated of all. Because let me explain. On the one hand, you are responsible, you are engaging, and you love to have teamwork. You are easily contented, very committed. You don't like routine. You can be in the same job for 10, 20 years. You don't like changes. You basically like to be dependent and you're obedient. You are a great follower. All right. Once you trust your leader, you will go all out to support him. You're just very careful. Sometimes you may be overly indecisive. Sometimes you contradict yourself, and you love to play the devil's advocate. That's because on the one hand, you can be very faithful when you have trust. When you don't have trust, you begin to doubt. So that is where the complication is. You are like a zebra looking for a lion. So do you think a normal zebra will go and look for a lion in the safari? Chances are not, right? But this zebra is different. This zebra really needs the lion to appear so that they know what to do. So if the lion doesn't appear, they're not going anywhere. They may think the lion is everywhere. But once the lion comes from the west, they will know that the east is now a safer road to take. So very hard to resolve a lot of the question they have. They are involved in jobs that requires a lot of stability. So the uniform groups, the government officials who have a fixed pattern of operation, the jobs like this suits them. So they are the one that least able to manage disruption. So they have a lot of question mark, and to them, any last minute change is at the end of the world. So they are the worst people to have free and easy travel with, because they really need the itinerary. So play by the ear, see how it goes. These are words that doesn't resonate with them at all. So a type 6, it's really how do they behave at work. They can be responsible, trustworthy, yet they can be very tentative if they don't trust you or if the environment is toxic. So when I was managing a dating agency about 13 years ago, I have the most people of this type in my database because they love to ask one question that has no answer to it. And the question is, what if? All right. What if the weather is bad? What if nobody comes to my event? Now there can be thousands of what if, and they just love to manage disruption by having checklists, by having trial run and rehearsal. So they just want to be sure. So you need a lot of patience with people like that in your office. How they listen, how they manage disruption is really to ask a lot of questions. So if you have a document and you don't go through the document and you ask them to go through themselves, they will start to think that you have something to hide. And never, never, never say, don't worry to them. Because the minute you say, don't worry, you have just activated the worry mechanism in them. They'll be thinking, why do you have to say, don't worry? All right. So that's why I say they're complicated in managing disruption. So if you have someone like this in your workplace, you have to be very, very patient. Now, I come to the last three. How many of you have chosen this type 7, this adventurous cut, as especially as a first cut? Congratulations, you are the most visionary of all. You love to be in the moment. You're spontaneous, you're fun, you see the big picture, you are easily excited. You know, the world is a forest and you'll never settle for a tree. You any new ideas to you, you want to do it now. You live at a moment. I know you're YOLO, you're experiential, you're happy, you're entertaining, you're talkative, you're carefree. You are a social butterfly, all right? But people find you hyperactive and even to the extent of superficial because you don't like to dwell in pain. You just like to go from one to the other as quickly as possible. So while you are easily excitable, you lack the focus to go on long term. So when you manage disruption, you like to chunk it down into smaller parts and you like to tackle everything on the fly. All right. So in a networking kind of scenario, you talk a lot, but people don't feel that they can connect with you at a very deep level because one challenge you have in disruption is that you fail to dwell, to learn your lessons by reflecting on the negative experiences in life. So when we experience negative experiences, we learn precious lessons to going forward. But if a type 7 do not like to dwell in pain, they end up never learn precious lessons. So while they dislike rules, they end up making the same mistake over and over again. So at work, they are the people who are the biggest risk taker. All right. They are smart. They're often the founders of the company. They just don't like to manage it. And if the work at if there's a lot of tough work, they are the one that can make everything very fun because to them, life is an adventure. They don't like to be told what to do. They're spontaneous. They're free spirits. So if you have a staff in office like that, tell them to enjoy multitasking because that is what they are very good at. Now you need to engage in high energy and stimulating conversation because without options, they get bored easily. So one way to help them is to give them options to manage disruption. And basically, they're the most fun people to be with. All right. One of my cards, one of my number is actually a type 7. So now let me come to number 8. Now, number 8 is what I call the active controller. Look at this guy, strong man. All right. Now, this is Donald Trump in disguise. Now, I'm not talking about politics here, but this is a person who is confident, straightforward. They don't care what you think of them. They just do it. They love pioneering work. They love standing up, and they love in your face. They fight for fairness. They are challenger. They are straightforward. They don't sugarcoat. Now, the interesting thing about active controller type 8 is that They are the strongest. They are at the best when there is an opposition. When no one is there to oppose them, they do not know how to display their strength. So if you like them, they're inspiring. If you don't like them, they are intimidating, very confrontational, very controlling, very blunt, and very curt. But there is a need to protect. So if you are in their inner circle, how they manage disruption is really to protect you, to fight for it, and to do punning route. They take a lot of initiative to be strong just because they want complete control. They don't want to be seen as weak. So in a workplace, they are self-reliant. They go and meet challenges head on. They're the natural disruptor. In fact, these are the people who become the head of our company, the chairman, the CEO, the managing director. Whereas in the previous type 7 visionary, you always find them in short-term work like advertising, event management, very, very short kind of project work. Whereas for this, if you're a challenger, you always will be the top. You always rise up to the top rather easily. So if you have someone in the office who are a type 8, how you can lead them to manage disruption with their own style is to encourage them to stand up for themselves, encourage them to be strong. You must be equally assertive because they don't take it personally. Now that's the good thing about a type 8. They never take anything personally. But don't betray their trust. Don't gossip behind their back because when they know it, they're going to get even with you. Now, okay, I come to the last one. All right. So the last one is what they call the peacemaker, the type 9. These are what we call the modern day Nelson Mandela, the modern day Dalai Lama. You are so easygoing, unpretentious, you are patient, you are gentle, you are a facilitator, you are basically a very, very nice guy. You don't raise your voice, you are very nice, very soft. You have one mission in life, and that is you want to avoid conflict. You're unassuming, you're consensus seeking. You're an excellent negotiator because you can see the perspective of everyone in the room. You love to have everyone speak their mind, but that is only for people who like you. So if people don't like you but think that you are stubborn, oblivious, procrastinating, complacent, lazy, withdrawn, disengaged, these are just perception. Now you will be great in almost everything that you do, and that is a powerful thing. Why do I mention him last? Because the world needs more peacemaker. These are the best people to manage disruption with style, and they are the best people to help everyone else around them to manage it. Because as long as there's no conflict, there's a consensus, they love to have discussion with anybody. So they want to be agreeable. All right. How are they at work? Non-judgmental, go with the flow, very caring, very relaxed, very chill. They are good mediator. They don't like to be pushed. And if you have someone in the office who are like this, remember how you say certain things are more important than what you say. Don't give them pressure, budge them nicely, but don't never be too harsh on them. And one magic word they like to use is discussion. So avoid saying things like, I need to tell you something, I need to inform you something. Tell them, I have something to discuss with you. Now, where are we going with all this 9 type? Now, if I go back to the original, let me just now recap of what is going on. Earlier on in the entire presentation, I advise all of you to choose a card from these 9 pictures. So the one on the left is really telling me about your feeling. The one in the middle is your thoughts, your rationale, and so on. And the one on the right is really your gut feel. How do you take action? So if your first number comes from feeling column, you're basically someone who use your heart more than your brain whenever you have something new. If your first card comes from the middle, the thinking card, you are someone who use your head more than your heart. And if you are, your first card is come from the action column, you are in hybrid. Okay, between the head and the heart will be the gut. So a gut feel is really a very hybrid person. So why do we talk about this? Now in distortion, there is this, how do you get, what do you do to get what you want? How do you manage distortion? So if you have, let's look at the first row. If you have any of this 4, 5, 9, if you have 2 or 3 out of this 4, 5, and 9, you are a withdrawn person. You prefer disruption to come to you. You prefer something to happen, and you prefer to take a passive role. So if you are a creative person, a 4, or observant person, a 5, or a peacemaker, you are more withdrawn, all right? Socially and even at work. Now, what happens if you have 1, 2, and 6 in the middle row? All right, you are someone who is compliant. You are someone who go with the flow. You are neither active or passive. All right, you go with the majority, and you are more easygoing when it comes to disruption. So 2, 6, and 8. Now, when you come to 3, 7, and 8, I happen to have all these 3 numbers in my selection. So I'm going to tell you, my number is 378. All right. And I am very assertive. I go out and make changes happen. I go out to get what I want. I go out and make things happen. So I create disruption, and I am very good in thriving towards it. Now, what about chaos? What do you do when you don't get what you want? So if you have 1, 3, and 5, if this is your style, your way of managing disruption is really you're competent. You're very competent in managing chaos and conflict. All right, that is your style. All right, so you have no problem making decisions. So if you're a 3, you're competent by being flexible. If you're 5, you're competent by having very good analysis. And if you're 1, all right, you are very good in managing crisis, because no one will have what, because you're always right and others are always wrong. So what happens if you have 2, 7, 9? If you have 2, 7, 9, 2, 9, 7, 7, 2, 9, 7, 9, 2, 9, 2, 7, 9, 7, 2, you are basically the most positive people on earth. You manage conflict and disruption with a very positive mindset. And because that is how you function at work. But if you have 4, 6, and 8, 2 or 3 out of this, I don't have so good news. You are more of a reactive person. So the first thing you do is to be reactive to what is going on. And a 4 always react by being a drama queen. A 6 always feel that the end of the world is coming. And the 8 will go to war with you. So go to war with whoever that is confronting them, or whoever disruption that is coming. So there is no right or wrong type. As I say, this whole system that I just shared is inspired by Enneagram. So if you want to know more about that, you can Google it, ENNEAGRAM, ENNEAGRAM. So these are the numbers again. And I want to say this. So earlier on, I had 3 numbers for everyone. Now this is a very important part of the presentation. I'm coming to the end. Is that your 3 number shows you your map of evolvement. So the first number is something that's obvious to many. These are your form. These are your real personality that people see. It's obvious. Okay, so if your first number is a 2 or a 3, it's very obvious that people can somehow use the right words to describe you. Now the number at the middle is the engine that drives the first number. This is your substance, known to only a few. This is how you brand the first number. This is where the engine of personal branding is. So for example, I am 3, 7, and 8. I'm a competitor, so I'm a 3, but my second number is 7. So I do it the fun way. I make competition fun. I make competition easy. I like to jump around. I have no order, and I'm very spontaneous. So I produce my own brand of a competitor. Now, the last number is where your hidden potential is. This number will only surface most of the time when you have a crisis. When you're pushed to a corner, you need to make a very big decision. You will show that number. So that number, in fact, is your hidden potential. That is the number of survival. So most of the time, when we're in a comfort zone, the first number will be activated. When you're in a crisis, the last number will be activated. So people, I just want to quickly show you that when you Google Enneagram, all right, you will see a symbol like this. This is exactly like what I told you from type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But I use pictures because if I show you this diagram at the very beginning, it will scare the hell out of everyone because this looks like a satanic symbol. But really, this is the Asian wisdom that tells us of our type and our style. And definitely, if you want to know your innate ability to manage disruption with style, is to understand your personality code. So I come to the end of my presentation. I hope that you enjoy the little sharing that I have. As I said, I'll be glad to send you more material and my book in soft copy. And you know where to find me. You can always we can always have offline discussion. So right now, I'm open to any question from the floor. Yes.
Great presentation. Thanks, Andrew. So if you
We
have any
have
questions, feel free to
yes.
post them to the Q&A tab. And yeah, let's wait a couple of minutes.
Sure.
All right, the questions have been pronounced, so let's get into them. First question, Andrew. Which of these 9 types are the natural marketers?
Okay, so the natural marketers will be the type 3 because they love to show off what they have done. They love to have, they are able to make very small issue looks very, very big. They are gifted in making things bigger than they are. So they are the type 3 and also the type 7, which is the visionary, the spontaneous type, because they are able to inject fun into it. So the 3 and the 7 are very natural marketer. If you have a leader that is a performer or a visionary, you have a fun time managing disruption and doing something new. The rest of the number, it is not that they are not good as a marketer, but they are not so suitable to fit their personality into the role of marketing. Whereas the 3 and the 7, their DNA is really, they are the marketers in life. They know how to promote themselves. They know how to be in the right place at the right time, saying the right thing to the right people in the right way. And that is the positive side of the type 3 and the type 7, the performer and the visionary. Yeah.
All right. Another question. Which combination of personality gives the best combination to manage disruption?
Okay, so now let me share to you, there is no best combination, but I can tell you that there is a certain way to group people together in a work group to manage disruption. So for example, a type 1 needs to go with a 7, all right? Because a type 1, if you see where my circle is the line, number 1 and number 7 is joint. So whenever you see a jointed line, all right, that is the group of people you need to be to assemble, all right, to manage your solution. So for example, if I'm a manager and I'm a perfectionist, I should have people who are type 7 in my group and also type 4, the creative people in my group. So if I have 1, 4, and 7, I'm essentially having a very good power team that we all can help each other to watch each other's back, to balance each other's plus and minuses, strengths and weaknesses to manage disruption. So the combination will be 1, 4, 7, 824 369 758. All right. And yeah, so, and of course 582. So any three number that you see joined up by the lines, they are your best combination of workforce or work group in your company to manage absorption.
All right. Another question. Can we switch our numbers around consciously? Meaning,
Okay.
can we change our personality types when we know we lack some skills?
Okay. So that's a very good question. Now, I hate to say this, but we don't change. So if we are born and nurtured as a perfectionist, throughout our life, we predominantly perfectionist. Now, you can, however, evolve. So what you need to do is to look for someone who is very opposite of you. Now, again, I like to use the example of perfectionist. A perfectionist always think there's only one way to do things, right? Now, a 7, which is a visionary, has plenty of ways to do the same thing. So in essence, a 1 needs a 7. And a 7 in turn will need a 5 if we were to see the line. So we are all looking for our opposites. That is why opposites really attracts, because when you have two persons who are very opposite in a workplace, they form a very good team. If you have two people who are the same type, you may like each other, but there is no creativity in the group at all, because after a while it gets so monotonous, everything the same and so on. So while you don't change, you know how to evolve. So if you are 1, you start to be more like a 7, and after that you learn to be more like a 5, and after that from 5 you learn to be more like an 8, and after that from 8 you learn to be a helper. So the map of evolvement goes on. That is why even for marriages, have you ever discovered this, that we always end up marrying our opposites? Your wife, your husband will be so different from you. And if it's so different, I can tell you congratulations, because that is a solution for long-term happiness, is to be so different and yet you feel you need each other. So I like to say this, we always end up marrying opposites, but we may end up having affairs with people exactly the same as us. That's a joke anyway, but it's very true. So at work, we should look out for people who are so different from us, so that we can learn to see life from another angle. So each of us have our own number, and this map provided a journey of evolvement and learning. So that's what makes life so palatable. And last thing I want to say is that if you look at type 2, type 3, type 4 is a feeling center, and 5, 6, 7 is really the thinking, and 8, 9, 1 is the action. Now, each of us has one number from each center. Why? It's because this is a map of our soul, of our inner being, of our type, of our style. This is within you, and it really determines the success that you have in life. The combination is really amazing. Yeah, I hope I answer you. This is a long answer to a short question.
Thank you. And another question, how much of this is influenced by social cultural dynamics of where you were born and raised?
Okay, so again, another good question. So I believe every country, they have their own culture. If you're born in US, you basically have a competitive culture. In Singapore as well, if you're in Japan, you probably have a perfectionistic culture. If you are born in Israel, you probably have eight, in everyone, because everybody is a fighter. They're ready to fight. If you're in Philippines, everybody happy-go-lucky, so you find that most people are type 7. All right. So the culture personality has a bearing on the in the culture aspect, but individually you still have your own innate combination. So for example, even if I don't have a 3 in my 3 numbers, but if I'm born in Singapore, I'm still competitive in a way. So one more thing I want to share to you is this, that personality is both nature and nurture. So when you're born, you inherit something from your parents, and you may be the eldest child, the only child, the youngest child, or the middle child. They all have a bearing on how you're brought up and how you look at life. It's basically how your world is being formed. So you have the larger world and your inner world. So we are talking about the inner world today. But yes, a lot of this can be influenced by the culture. So you'll find that most Filipino, they have type 7 in them. It's just so natural. All right. Yes, I would say that it has great influence to a certain extent. So yeah.
Right. Thank you, Andrew. Looks like
Yes.
we're now out of time for further questions. So thank you
Yes.
everyone for attending, for wonderful questions, and thank you, Andrew, for the great presentation. Please,
Sure. Thank you.
thanks. Please look out for the recording, which will email through to you in the next couple of days. And thanks again for joining us. And please enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.